All right. Good afternoon, people. Welcome to Smudcast number 746, Bioessentialism in Gaming. Now, I have no clue what this word means. I'm going in this blind. I'm assuming it has to do with living organisms and what they require in order to exist. I don't know exactly. And how that translates to gaming, I'm not sure. So we're going to have to feel it out as we go along. It's a long video. It's almost 40 minutes long. And it's by someone called LegalKimchi. And I guess that's a Chinese reference or a guy who likes vegetables. I don't know. But it's some interesting stuff here. But the description of the video is weird. Today we tackle a heavy topic. Let's dive into the subject of biological essentialism or bioessentialism and how it rears its head into gaming, specifically role-playing games like D&D. And I don't know if that has to do with world building or the lore behind how an organism has come to be or the logic behind that. Usually you just want a dragon in your D&D, so you have a dragon or someone has a dragon egg. You don't explain exactly how the dragon egg came to be. It's just, a merchant sold it. Ooh, mysterious. It's not like we have to explain the 1,000 years of the dragon that birthed the egg and all this jazz. It's not essential to the story. You just want to have a fun time playing D&D with your friends. But I guess some people take their lore to the next level and want all this backstory. Who knows? Couldn't tell you.
Okay. So in case you guys forgot, this isn't the first time we cover the topic of bioessentialism. Although last time we had it, if I remember correctly, LiteratureDevil was with us.
That must have been some time ago.
Yeah. Don't recall. Anyway.
There they are. The Evil Races of Bad Game Design by Extra Credits.
Oh god.
What? Extra credits?
The orc game, the orc video?
Yes.
With the grandma, the racist grandma, because orcs?
Yes. Game is ugly, warlike, and benevolent might be harmful to real-world groups who often perceived as ugly, warlike, and benevolent.
Yes. Black Grandma looks a lot like Charg, the Destroyer. You know? Everybody thinks that in their spare time.
Indeed. So, in case anyone is wondering what the hell bioessentialism is a very, very, very propagandized term, as it essentially comes down to, hey, animals are different, and that is a very accepted fact in biology. But bioessentialism is essentially co-opted concept. Or, I guess co-opted implies that they stole it. No, it's been made up by a very specific group to target non-existent issues and accuse other people of blaming somebody for something that they cannot help, or blaming them, or making someone out to be an evil baddie.
Yeah, so it's not co-opted or stolen. It is just evil from the start.
And this is in gaming.
So for reference, I am looking up bioessentialism. All the references, like literally all of them, like intergender, trans, binary, like kind of shit.
Okay, that's
harmful impacts of gender essentialism.
Gender? What does that mean?
Bad Queers podcast on Instagram with the Queer Urban Dictionary's bioessentialism.
Oh, there's a Queer Urban Dictionary?
Apparently. That's what I mean, that this is a term made up by these people.
Okay. To
make a problem of something we have been discussing with smarter people for decades now. Such as, are orcs inherently evil? And because they can't discuss this like grown adults, or rather I should say, they can't keep their politics out of entertainment, they want to immediately compare orcs to black people because they're horrible racists.
Yeah, I don't think this was ever an issue back when Tolkien was publishing his books and orcs came about as the evil baddie that the humans and elves had to fight to get to Mordor. So I don't know where this is going to go, and I might get really pissed off in the next 5 minutes. So we're going to see how this
The funny part about the whole Tolkien thing is that there are real life stuff you can draw upon the orc. His entire narrative when he was originally... Well, until the Hun, you could draw upon the Norse, or the... what's the name of the French Vikings that invaded, essentially wiped out the original English myths?
The Normans?
The Normans, thank you.
Really?
Remember how he refused to use the term goblin after finding... Yeah, he refused to use the term goblin because it originated from the French Normans.
Okay, interesting. Anyway, that's the primer. Good enough. We will see whether or not this is a topic even worth listening to, let alone discussing. I don't want
to... before we... Just to poison the well further on you.
No, thanks.
His other videos recommended is Everything is Wrong About Metagaming. How D&D gets religion gone wrong with it Greenwood. People of color in Europe and black elves in Rings of Power and Dungeons and Dragons Dark Secret with some bald fat guy with the iron cross over his eyes.
Oh, that sounds fun. Either way, this is going to sound like a pile of nonsense, and we're gonna,
absolutely
we're going to try at least an hour.
Yeah, I've one question. Is bioessentialism on par with the idea that the right-wing stuff of black people have a lower IQ because they're black and dumb and some other species or some bullshit? Is that basically on par with that stupidity?
I think that's pushing it. I think they're just saying they're seeing it as a minority group, therefore it must be protected, and whatever the reasoning is could be they're this or that.
It's biologically inherent that you have certain attributes because or certain behaviors because you have a certain biological grouping.
It's kind of weird.
That sounds just like the Africans are dumb because they're lower on the evolutionary tree.
Well, it's almost this objective view of if someone writes an orc, therefore they're racist because they obviously saw black people and went, well, I'm going to be inspired by that to write an orc, which is bizarre to even think something like along those lines. So every time you write a fictitious race that has different skin tones and different ears and whatever, therefore you're some sort of racist or something. It's like no one is thinking like this. I don't think Tolkien ever went that way. I don't think any writer who writes any fantasy book ever goes that way. So,
it is very much I would say it's almost on the same level, except I'd argue it's even worse here because it's pure projection. Is that these people view black people as stupid, warlike, ugly, and malevolent. But they are the quote-unquote minority in the current power structure, therefore we must protect them. And all potential references I can draw in my head to these people. Because I'll be making a complete stereotype here, a normal overweight, like 200-pound white guy in the basement is not having orcs attack the party in his D&D game because he wants to draw real-life comparisons to orc.
I think these people have an inherent problem with pattern recognition on a very, very low comprehension level, and get scared because the pattern recognition that fires in their brains, they have learned that is evil. It is evil to think this. But they don't understand that their pattern recognition is just wrong.
Yeah, and I think this is inherently an element of the West. Everything that the East would produce, I've read a lot of manga and watched a lot of anime. They do have a racist element, but it's only used as a sort of tongue-in-cheek sort of joke. And I don't know if I told Whisp about this. I didn't tell you the other guys about my favorite manga, which is the knight who returned with a god. He loves killing orcs. He loves killing them all. Like, he doesn't even treat them as people, even though they have intelligence and they could communicate with English or whatever. So, and he's such an honorable character, and he believes in like treating people with respect. He's like, no, there's nothing good about them. And even the villains and the other heroes are like, that's a little racist, isn't it? While he's slaughtering them all. Like, it's so fun to read this stuff.
But I would not put this on the West. That is the very mistake that more and more people are making. That it's the West. Just like they keep saying, oh, Western sensibilities. It's the same as modern audiences. It's not the West. This is purely in the past 10, 15 years coming from not the West, but the left. They have been pushing this bullshit. They are seeing all this racism everywhere and thereby creating the racism. Because this racism isn't actually there. They are creating it. And that project was started in the late 90s. Because the left noticed that, oh shit, we're actually beating racism as we always promoted. We can't play divide and conquer anymore. Shit. Let's start a new racism. Call it anti-racism, and then we get all the divide and conquer again. Everybody hates each other, and we can get power again, and we can also keep pretending to be the virtuous people, and the racism will never run out again. That's the trick. They're basically cheating.
I think it was Ackman that said that racism is in such short supply, you have to make it up.
Exactly. Oh, lots of people have said that. Actually,
I know. That's just the one that
things that are on.
Fuck off with. Fuck off.
No. This is all I wanted to say on that. But the thing is, for example, the SJWs, when they play, they're always obsessed with playing the odd one out. So much so that the odd one out is now the standard. Like, everybody's a tiefling, but all tieflings are good now. And technically, you had the odd one out all the time. The moment drow were invented, you had Drist or Dunn, which was the odd one out among the drow. And everybody had every edgy player had a dark elf character with 2 swords who was all edgy and abandoned as a child. And now we have the tiefling. Everybody's a tiefling.
All right. Let's get started. I think we exhausted that intro. Let's see what this video is all about. Oh, yeah. Super smart.
Mongolic, or Yellow Man,
oh god, it's pretentious shit.
Lying east of a line drawn from Lampland to Siam. His physical characteristics are of a short, squat body, a yellowish-brown or coppery complexion, hair lank, straight and black, flat, small nose, broad skull, usually without prominent brow ridges, and black, oblique eyes. Encyclopedia Britannica, 1911. The orcs were definitely stated to be
what is this?
Of the human form, seen in elf.
Oh, I know what he's doing. He's poisoning the well.
Yeah, he's drawing the comparison. Look, the orcs are actually this racist depiction of classification of people who look distinctly different.
Okay, whatever. I mean, he's just reading, so who cares?
Men,
well, he's making a point.
Are, or were, squat, broad, flat-nosed, sallow-skinned, with wide mouths and slant eyes. In fact, degraded and repulsive versions of the 2 Europeans, least lovely, Mongol types. J.R.R. Tolkien, in a letter to Forrest Ackerman.
Okay.
So they're corrupted Asians.
He wrote a letter to some guy describing the ugliness of orcs. Good for him.
And what he drew inspiration
what
from.
What makes us who we are as people is a question that has plagued scientists and philosophers throughout time and geography. What makes you, well, you, can involve questions of psychology, biology, sociology, and to some, spirituality. We can use labels that tell details about ourselves. I can tell you that I'm a mixed ethnicity man, citizen of the United States of America. I'm a lawyer, a father, a husband, son, brother, friend. The list goes on and on. But none of those things necessarily define me. None of those things makes
You
me
don't?
who I am. What about my morality? Does that come from
You just described where you come from.
You just
from
described
the
a
US
bunch of shit that invariably describes who you are.
and your
Yeah,
morality.
If you-
it doesn't give us a complete picture, but it gives us already some picture.
Yeah, if you're
You
from
could've-
the U.S., your morality is pretty much based off the Constitution, so you don't go around breaking the Constitution or rules thereof, depending on what state you're in. But that's further down the line of detail. So, yeah, dude,
Unless
you're a
you're
lawyer.
evil, then you do that.
Like this is
You c-
like you would have tort law, dude. If you're a lawyer, you would know that tort law exists in particular states, and that would define how you behave morally.
He could have stopped that. I am an American lawyer and a father.
But that doesn't
There you go.
describe my morality. It's like, yes, it does. Anyway,
It might not describe your precise morality, but
Exactly.
it describes your, like, the roundabouts of what your philosophy is.
there'd be
Somebody outside America is not going to have the Constitution in the back of their minds.
exactly. So if he was specific to which state he was in, then we go, oh, now we know exactly which laws you adhere to that you must adhere to be a member of that state. Anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah, I would have, had he said, I'm a single father, I would have immediately a completely different picture of him because his life story would immediately involve some form of tragedy.
Okay.
my culture? Is there an origin in my genetics? Do any of those labels I listed before tell you about my morality? Aside from the lawyer one, does the idea that my worth is intrinsically tied to my race?
Not even the lawyer one. Because you could be an actual virtuous lawyer, which do allegedly exist. You could also be a psychopath, because that is the demographic, the profession demographic with the second highest amount of psychopaths in it. So, who knows? It does. If you want to play the game of it doesn't say anything, then that doesn't say anything.
Well, even
if
in
you
law,
imply that it does say something about you, then I would have to go with the statistical average, which means you're a psychopath.
well, when you're talking about a lawyer, there's so many denominations of law, like personal injury or bankruptcy or immigrate. Like there's so many. What did you specialize in? So just because you got the bar exam, that doesn't mean, oh, I'm moral. It's like, well, you could be a defense attorney and you could be defending horrible people, or, just because it's a law, and how you do that could determine how good of a lawyer you are in that category. So,
Or you could be a binger.
you could be a horrible person, getting people off. Who knows? Like there's lots of things to go with that. But I mean, just saying I work under law, therefore I'm moral. It's like, well, not necessarily. Anyway,
What is it to be racist? Many historical
my
figures felt that there were
God.
clear biological differences caused by different people's race. Winston Churchill said as much when discussing the indigenous peoples of the Americas and Australia. Quote,
I do not admit for an instant that great wrong has been done to the Red Indians of America or the black people of Australia. I do not admit that a wrong has been done
They're not black.
to those people by the fact that a stronger race, a higher grade race, a more worldly wise race, to put it that way, has come in and taken their place.
these were the words of the leader of one of the most powerful nations in the world, who was in power during my father's lifetime.
okay, so yeah, conquerors take over other groups. This is natural. What is your problem? I don't get. Is this whole issue going to be about people taking over indigenous people's land during confederations and all sorts of other times of
Genghis
conquering?
Khan built the largest empire in the world by conquering.
I mean, are you going to talk about
Powerful nations will always view their own, themselves, their own people, and their beliefs as being superior to other people, and by extension, their races. Just look at America. America will always exert, regardless of situation, their own superiority when it's assaulted by a foreign nation.
Yeah, this is pretty natural for people believing we are the best, we are the ones who own this, take it, it's ours, or we're going to use force. This is normal, this is natural, and when war is declared, all bets are off. This is why people have problems figuring out who's the good guy, who's the bad guy.
It's like any sports ball tournament. If our team beat your team, that means we are better. That's all it is.
Yep.
And that foundation from which this vile sentiment is built is biological essentialism. We're going to define what we mean by that, discuss the history of bioessentialism, and talk about how the concept rears its ugly head in fantasy and Dungeons & Dragons.
What?
And discuss if it even matters.
How did we get from all these other people and all these quotes to just D&D? Oh, here's these references.
I think it's playing on this thing of how dare the races are different with different stats and not liking each other and not having a multicultural mouse utopia, when part of all of these stories is in the essence of the friendship of Legolas and Gimli.
Oh God.
Overcoming the prejudice to work together towards a higher goal.
Yeah. All right. Well,
all this shit is. That's why all of these fantasy parties and science fiction parties are all people from different walks of life and being different species, different races. It's just the exaggeration of that. Look how we come together to fight the big bad evil and make the world.
Luckily, there's more than one story in fantasy than Tolkien's, and I'd appreciate.
I'll spoil it right now. He's gonna make it that when you make orcs ugly, warlike, and malevolent, that makes it so you can call black people orcs, who are also ugly, warlike, and benevolent in these twisted fuckers' heads, because that is all bioessentialism is.
Okay.
It's a hammer.
And that means he believes that all black people are ugly and violent.
Oh boy. Okay, let's just keep going.
When that's not all
Let's
of them.
get to this, because this is getting silly.
They're ugly
We're
Caucasians.
dealing with fiction. So without further ado, let's put race in D&D style.
Oh my god, we're doing this again. We're putting this trope on trial.
There's a lot of frustration and confusion that comes from discussions regarding race, racism, or any nuanced discussion of, well, really,
Wait, is he at the end of
As an attorney
Barbie?
who works on contracts all the time, my first inclination is to make sure that we're using the correct terms, or at the very least, you know what I mean by the terms I am using. So let's set the groundwork for some definitions. Bioessentialism. Bioessentialism is the belief that human nature, an individual's personality, or some specific quality, like intelligence, creativity, morality, or warlike tendency, is something that's innate and a natural.
Okay, so he's defining everything as natural, not developed, not taught, but just inside of you. You're born this way. Done. Okay, everything's predetermined. Thank you. Let's go with that.
Essence, rather than a product of circumstances, upbringing, or exterior factors. Sometimes this encapsulates culture.
Oh, he's making the argument that, bioessentialism is the strawman I am inventing is the belief that it is 100% biological, 0% societal influence and environmental influence.
Yeah.
And I hold the enlightened opposite view that everything is socialization. That's just as dumb as your straw man.
Why not just use natural or nature versus nurture and go from there? Why do you have to create a new word to mean the same thing and then reverse it saying, I don't believe that?
Yeah.
Because everyone knows nature versus nurture. Nobody knows bioessentialism. It's their own term. They can use it like a bludgeon. That's why I started up by saying this is what it is. It's just them that use it. It's just used to shit on things that they perceive as problematic because they are racist.
Yeah, because I certainly didn't get the autism from my father, as well as the talent for music that is totally his and totally mine, although we never did anything together. We barely met or talked. Yet it's this disturbing, almost carbon copy. It's, nothing to do with biology. I assure you. Fucking hell.
As well. While this is broad and can cover a couple of topics, today we're going to specifically discuss it in relation to racism.
Yay.
A lot of people use the term racism to refer to the systemic oppression of a racial group to the advantage of the dominant racial group. They use this term to specify the overall system that can be only utilized by those in power against those who are not. For the remainder of this video...
So you're saying a bunch of white guys can utilize the system where a bunch of black guys cannot? Is that what you're talking about?
South Africa wants to work with you.
Yeah, it's a very twisted view on what the principles of racism is.
I mean, what system is it? Like the McDonald's? Is it the banks? Like, what are you talking about? What specific?
I was supposed to be prejudiced on someone's, on someone's race. Just how do I put it? Not this system bullshit, but just overall prejudice towards someone's race for some reason.
Right, like people are racist towards immigrants because this is the beginning of a huge political issue of, now we have more people in the system or people in the country or the city. House prices are going to go wonky. Jobs are going to get scarce. Lots of food is going to go up in price. Like this is what's happening right now in Canada. So people are, in general, racist towards immigrants, not because we dislike people.
Counterpoint. How are you able to be racist towards a movement?
Oh, hell, who knows?
Racism, it is in the word, it is race. You think lesser of the race.
Right. You don't blame them individually. You say, this is what's happening as a result of policies. And we go, look at all these immigrants coming in. And that's a big issue in Canada right now, let alone in the States.
He's also leaving out, and that is the entire left is leaving out, that 150 years ago, the term race was also used much more broadly. It wasn't just tied to biology exclusively. That seemed to have happened in the past 100 years, because we will talk of the French race or the I don't know, Italian race or anything, because it was more tied to ethnicity and culture just as well. You would rather think of that, and that is where its main use in video games also comes from. In Dark Age of Camelot, one of the earlier MMORPGs, you had 4 types of humanoids, but they were all classified as different races. They were all Dark Age of Camelot played in Old Britain, ancient magical Britain. So you just had 4 types of light-skinned humans, but they were called races, and that's okay because it is in the old use of the term.
Okay.
So I couldn't even be so harsh on Winston Churchill on this topic.
Right. Okay.
I will refer to prejudice as racism, and a person who intentionally holds prejudicial beliefs based on race as racist, when referring to the systems in place and power structures that oppress people because of their race.
There's no such thing as positive racism, like black people playing sports very well, and we go, all these black guys are amazing at basketball or whatever.
The left has complained about that when we assume that an Asian is good at mathematics.
Oh yeah.
Yep, that's also racist.
Yeah. So that is the positive. It is just prejudice in itself. It can be negative. It can be positive.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's
moving goalposts.
Okay with that.
Yeah. Okay.
I will say systemic racism or institutional racism.
Which means what? I hate these
but we
terms.
don't have that. That is outlawed, especially after the Nazis. We have a human rights charter that forbids that explicitly. The German constitution forbids that explicitly. And then a bunch of socialists come along and invent some equity ministry, and that does then exactly that which the Nazis did, that we forbade in the constitution, and somehow it isn't unconstitutional.
I want to know what he means by, because he's clearly defining words, but now he's using these loaded words, and I'm like, okay, where are we going with this? Are we just mentioning them because he knows them, or is he going to bring them up?
We're mixing the word salad.
Yeah.
We're getting all the ingredients, and then we're mixing it.
Just to be clear, race. This is super tricky. Race has meant a lot of different things over time. Generally speaking, race is a group of people that share some specific physical characteristic, or social characteristics, or were people from a specific geographical region, or were people tied together by a singular language. This definition has changed over time. Most people utilize the same test that former Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart used in the 1964 obscenity case, Jacob Ellis v. Ohio. I'll know it when I see it. I will try to use the term the way that our society intends it, referring to certain people connected by a physical trait, most notably skin color and ancestral geography. Race in D&D. To my knowledge, within the core books of any edition of Dungeons & Dragons, race is never actually defined.
Really?
He just gave us the old uses of the word, which is this extremely broad usage that has nothing to do with bioessentialism, as he said himself. Social traits, culture, language.
I think
You don't need to share. You don't need to share you don't need to share an ideology. You could put it under ideology, but you don't need to.
I know that in various games, whether it's pen and paper or what have you, you can choose your race, you can choose your species, whatever you want to classify that as, and they have a specific look, and they are defined very clearly on what they are, what they can do, what their specialties are, their pluses and minuses, especially in D&D, Pathfinder games, lots of detail. So I don't know where he got this, or he's just sort of saying, oh, yeah, no.
The issue here is when you use the word species, which woke Wizards of the Coast decided was the important thing to do to get the racism out of D&D by getting the word race out of D&D and putting in species. That is actually a biologically defined term. The problem with that is species cannot crossbreed. Races, in quotation marks, can.
Oh, so they can't use half-elves anymore if they use species.
Exactly. They wanted to get rid of the half-breeds anyway.
Oh.
They are gone, by the way.
They said the half-breeds, they think they are racist.
What?
So now every species has to stay in its lane. Orcs only have children with orcs. Humans only
They
have
already
children
did that
with
in 5th
humans.
edition, by the way. Half orcs are only most orcs, according to 5th edition lore. Orcs don't like breeding with other races aside from other orcs unless they're good fighters.
That's racist.
Yes, it is very racist.
Okay, let's keep going.
Meaning that half orcs no longer have they don't have the same stigma as they used to, where orcs were rape babies from either side. Now they're just weird.
Yeah, which at least was. Oh, here's tragic backstory. No, now everybody is virtuous. What a boring world. Why is there even any conflict? Even the fucking Illithids are now not evil by definition.
Oh god, don't bring
The brain parasite race.
Okay.
Once in a where I asked someone to define race in Dungeons and Dragons, and their response was literally humans, elves, dwarves, halflings, dragonborn, gnome, half-elf, half-orc. This is not a definition. Do I need to read out the definition of the word definition? Is that too meta? So this is going to stay murky. But now we have the definitional foundation set. We can start talking about...
define it within Dungeons and Dragons because it's a general term.
A history? I've never even heard of this word. Where is this? Okay, fine.
So we have our term and our modern understanding of it. But to understand anything with a proper level of nuance, we need to dive into the history of it. Essentialism dates back to the very foundations of Western philosophy, where Plato is depicted proposing the idea and Socrates questions it, which is sort of his method. Something that I, as a former law student, am intimately familiar with.
The study of law is something new and unfamiliar to most of you, unlike any schooling you've ever been through before.
Oh, Sir Humphrey.
We use the Socratic method here. I call on you, ask you a question, and you answer it. Why don't I just give you a lecture? Because through my questions, you learn to teach yourselves.
Essentialism invades people's thoughts, as various studies in psychology have already shown, and we need to figure out the mechanisms behind that. But we are talking about bioessentialism, and in the biological sciences, we need to look at its prevalence in the field of scientific racism.
What?
Scientific racism?
Oh,
is that a thing?
is he making up words?
When do we get to space?
Well, we finally got there. I started the video, or you started before the video, and I said in prep room, this is just fucking, or even before we chose the video, this is just going to be eugenics. They're just going to argue that it's a eugenic.
There's no such thing, as far as I know, of biological racism. I've never heard the term. I've never studied the term. I've studied biology. I've done genetics. I've done chemistry and physics. This has never come up.
Is this one of those things where the left has redefined racism and now they need a word to describe what racism actually does, so they have to invent colorism that then fills the gap where racism was?
Is this what lawyers do? Like, they have to study all these words and terms? Because a lot of the terms that we've heard over the past few decades that we never heard before came from academia, but not from science. They came from social sciences or
Yeah, you don't point there because lawyers have nothing to do with reality. They just live within a rule book with its own defined terms, with its really bad pseudocode, with its really bad pseudo programming language, and that is the entire problem. Why they are probably also very prone to this social science nonsense that pretends to be science.
Also, his starting argument is, I was asking a person what the definition of race in D&D is, and he started naming off the races, and he asked whether it's too meta to ask him whether he understands the definition of a definition. The smugness aside, frustrating smugness aside, I pulled up the 5th edition handbook on races in D&D. Like in the player's handbook, there's like the first thing, choosing your race, and it has there a little prep thing in regards to like the city experience of what you're going to be seeing in D&D, where there's a lot of different races being together, and they literally say that people themselves, people of varying size, shape, and color, dressing in a dazzling spectrum of styles and hues, represent many different races, from diminutive halflings and stout dwarves to majestically beautiful elves mingling among a variety of human ethnicity. There you go. That is what race means to this fucking system. Is that humans are not different races, they're different ethnicities. Race is used to define orcs, like drow, dwarf, halfling, human, dragonborn, etc., etc. It's right there.
Humanoids.
Yes.
I think it's like asking, can you give me an example of an apple? He's asking, what's an apple? And I'm like, well, here's a Macintosh. He's like, I didn't want a Macintosh. I want to know what an apple is. I'm like, here's a Macintosh. Look at it. He's like, yeah, but what is it? I'm like, can't you see what it is? Like, do I have to describe the colors that your eyes are seeing? Like, this is bizarre. Like, I don't know what you mean. Can you use words because I'm a lawyer sort of argument? Do I have to be an intellectual to talk to you, sir? Can I just use examples? Like, is that hard to you? Anyway.
Racism is an idea that you can empirically prove differences in races to justify racial discrimination, or one's racist superiority to others. There were many historical figures...
We stopped that since the Nazis.
Can't we just say that people look different based on physical characteristics? Is that simple enough? We don't have
and Are you afraid of saying that some people use eugenics? Are you afraid of the E word?
The Russians.
How is it that when I watch this weird edited together MasterChef show with Gordon Ramsay, that I can immediately tell who's the African, who's the Asian, who's the Caucasian, who's the Mexican, who's the, I don't know, Siberian, probably, maybe Russian, I don't know, Slav.
Yeah.
Who's the Iceman?
But he'll ask you, like, what does that mean? What is a race then? It's like, that guy is a different race. What is that? What's a race though? It's like they look different. It's not hard.
Oh damn! How dare I can tell who's from southern Germany and who's from the coast?
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Because those families in this pseudoscience, including Thomas Jefferson, who was famous for having these beliefs. He wrote in Notes on the State of Virginia, comparing them by their faculties of memory, reason, and imagination, it appears to me that in memory they are equal to the whites. In reason, much inferior, as I think one black could scarcely be found capable of tracing and comprehending the investigations of Euclid, and that in imagination they are dull, tasteless, and anomalous. I advance it, therefore, as a suspicion only that the blacks, whether originally a distinct race or made distinct by time and circumstances, are inferior to whites in the endowments both of body and mind. Jefferson.
Isn't it interesting that he puts on this accent, probably never having heard this person speak before?
I'm just like...
Well, actually, let me look up...
if I compare two people, and one of them is different races, and one of them is smarter than the other, and I make the distinction, well, you know, one of them has a racial attribute of intelligence. And I see that in many other races. I can come to the logical conclusion, hey, this is a pattern. Now, it could be I lack knowledge and I lack a proper subject size to say, okay, maybe there are some white guys that are pretty stupid. And of course there are. But Jefferson just looked around. He goes, oh, look at all these people. You know what? Most of the white guys I know, they're pretty smart. Most of the black guys I know, they aren't too smart. That's it.
And he's going by the knowledge available in his time, going by the pattern, what pattern recognition allows him to see. What he saw in the United States were not the best Africans in Africa. They were the
losers.
They were the children of the enslaved, the ones who were beaten and sold. And on top of that, is he going to tell us what Thomas Sowell told us about the education system pre-Civil War that had black schools run by New Englanders that were all black children right off from illiterate slaves who worked on the field, but their children went to school and they learned not just English, they learned not just calculus, they learned Latin and Greek and became the first black doctors and lawyers and professors and other teachers in the United States, right off from illiterate parents, because that upbringing is important. What your genetic disposition is, that's a totally different question. If you neglect the upbringing, well, you can't ever reach your potential. And by the way, if there is a genetic cap on your intelligence, you will never reach it anyway. Nobody's ever going to reach it, because you will have things in your life happen that will impede on it. Be it some illness when you're a kid, be it some malnutrition, be it your parents telling you not to try something because you're only going to break it and then you never try ever again on anything. That all impedes on that development. And
there's a guy I can't remember his name, but he's like big into math. He can go on and on, right? So long, like on a big tablet or a big table behind him. He can write all this calculus, but he can't turn off the coffee machine. He needs his wife to do that for him. And he still isn't at peak, like, intelligence in his field. The cap of intelligence is high. Biologically, I don't think we'll reach it anytime soon.
Yeah, the biological cap is pretty much irrelevant. And on higher levels of intelligence, you have specialized intelligence anyway. Usually, people who are good at math are not so good at languages, and the other way around. Those things are interestingly, not always, but very, very, very often. What about that? Is that biological? Pretty much. Because, you get your traits and your abilities passed down by your parents. And if there's no filter on that for like 1,000 generations, well, why should why should you get specialized intelligence out of his population? If you never invent the wheel, because you never have need to invent the wheel and not the resources to invent the wheel, you will not develop the wheel, and you will not develop anything else because the circumstances are not there. Thomas Sowell, again, laid this out pretty well. Africa didn't develop much because it just didn't have the geography for it. No useful coastline, no useful rivers. You don't build any marine cities. Marine cities are where culture and intelligence skyrocket throughout history. Africa didn't have any spots for that, so it didn't happen. That's all. The Maori in New Zealand, they didn't invent the wheel, but they had pretty good boats. But they had never invented anything else because there's no space and there's no reason to. So their word for car is literally rowboat. Everything that moves people and is a machine is a type of boat in their language.
All right. Okay. Let's go on for another few minutes, and we're at almost 10-minute mark, which is pretty decent considering. And if he keeps defining words and making stuff up, I'm just like, okay, we're going to just skip ahead because this is going nowhere.
they say.
A civics lesson from a slaver. Hey neighbor, your debts are paid because you don't pay for labor. We plant seeds in the South. We create and keep planting. We know who's really doing the planting.
It should be noted that when he was introduced to Benjamin Benneker, a black mathematician, he remarked with delight that there was proof of intelligence amongst African Americans. It should also be noted that Jefferson later insulted Benneker after his...
Oh, he has a hard time imagining this being this ignorantly racist? Man, that's pretty smug, looking back on history from your privileged position here in the present.
Yeah, I can't believe I don't have knowledge of things I don't have knowledge of. How could Jefferson be so ignorant? It's like, what?
Yeah, he's pretty ignorant of dumb people all around the world.
How could you not know calculus after I studied it? It's like, what? Okay.
It's a magical projection of... Is that a magical projection of narcissists? Everybody can do what they can do?
Are you one of those fucking savages that don't have an air fryer? You have an oven?
An air fryer is just an oven.
Anyway,
Fuck you fucking hipsters. It's just a fucking oven.
Let's just keep going.
His death reminded him of having a mind of very common stature indeed. So, look, Jefferson's a complicated figure in the history of the United States.
Hey, you did some good things. I ain't denying.
Oh God, dude, can we get on with it?
False.
Poor lighting,
as
poor
recently as
editing.
June 2020, an article in the journal Personality and Individual Differences titled, "Do pigmentation and melanocortin systems modulate aggression and sexuality in the humans as they do in other animals?" was retracted for falsely claiming that people and animals with darker skin pigments were more aggressive. The article was derided for cherry-picking and misrepresenting data from other studies to fabricate a racist conclusion. I point this out to caution anyone who thinks that this is simply a problem from a bygone past.
Modern research. That's going to be interesting. Are you going to mention that the gestation time of Asians is longer than that of Caucasians by 1 to 2 weeks, and that of Black Africans is shorter than that of Caucasians by 1 to 2 weeks? Isn't that funny?
Modern research. People are not born understanding concepts of race. These are groupings we learn over time, both from our own in-groups and external perceptions.
Yeah, very quickly. We look at the world, we go, hey, mommy looks like this, that other person looks like that, and we just keep going and remembering.
The more different people look, the more we realize these people are different.
Yeah, it's amazing.
People in your family look pretty similar. People outside your family look less similar. People from the next village, they look weird. They have all weird noses. And the people from that other village, they have really weird ears. And then people from that other country, they're just outright mutants. They eat frogs. Like, what the hell? We should just kill them.
Okay. Now, these categorical labels can promote essentialist idea in granting identity to its members. Latin people have passion, Asians are hardworking and studious, etc., etc. Inside of the group, we joke about it, or even sometimes boast sincerely about the traits that we as members of the group have. Sometimes we flip the tables on people outside of the group. For multiracial people, we get comments like, you're so smart, must be your Asian side, or you have a little of that Latin short temper. Of course, we also get excluded from the conversation as well.
So anywhere I go, people make Nazi jokes. Must be this German thing.
These are just stereotypes. It's fine. This is normal.
Well, but these are stereotypes. Some are positive and some are negative.
No, they're fine. They're all what is wrong with them?
They're funny. They're funny. Can't you laugh about yourself, you miserable critter?
Essentialism is shown to correlate with people being more accepting of stereotypes. We actually view these categories to be natural, as opposed to the that they are, and that viewpoint actually supports the idea.
No, they are not. They are not social constructs. They are stereotypes. Have a kernel of truth in them, in simple pattern recognition, because a lot more people in a group have certain traits that stick out over time compared to another group.
Well,
like Germans being very meticulous and complaining about everything.
If he brings up the word social construct one more time, I'm just skipping to the end. This is. I got a law degree. What do I do with it? Let's make YouTube video.
Yeah, let's talk about something he didn't study.
I don't know. This is just stupid.
That racial hierarchies are also
racial hierarchies.
Hierarchies, man.
Yeah, he's
all right, guys.
The full socialist ideology.
I'm gonna have to tell you guys to line up. We've been ordered to do the racial hierarchy now. As the white people, we are getting the top. You are too close to Eastern Europeans, so you're going into the back. Wisp, you're also a woman, so you're going into the far back.
No. I get the top spot because I'm a trans woman.
Oh, right. Fuck. Ascended individually. So we have big space. Mike, you're going into the back. No, wait. Technically, I'm too close. Fuck, I'm too close to finish, which I'm Mongolian. Shit, I'm the ugly one. Guess I'm going into the back. Fuck.
Oh, where do I go?
Above me.
Anyway. Let's try to get through this sentence. If he changes topics, well, like this is going nowhere.
There's one important thing here. This racial hierarchy nonsense that he is inventing. he is claiming things are like that. That is his social construct. That is his stereotype. That these different races that he doesn't believe actually exist because they're social constructs, but they do exist in oppressing each other somehow magically. The academic term for this hierarchy thing that they also do with other things, with like what Lale brought up, the sexes and the sexual orientations and everything, this intersectional bullshit. What on YouTube we satirically call the oppression Olympics. The academic term for that is, and I shit you not, is the domination matrix.
That sounds oddly familiar, and I never remembered what it meant, and I'm okay with that.
It's the intersectional oppression Olympics.
Yeah, well.
The domination matrix. It's scientific. It's pseudo-scientific determination of how oppressed you are in relation to other combinations of things on your character sheet.
I'm in a video game. All right, anyway. Let's continue until he changes topics.
That's smart. That is what Blizzard derived their weird diverse character generator for new Overwatch characters from.
Really?
They used that. They used the domination matrix to create that character generator.
Okay, that's weird.
It's fucking insane.
All right.
Natural. If we accept that the categories are natural and that those categories have an essence to them, then you could feasibly start ranking essences into what is better or worse and
What are you talking?
Yeah, and that is what Nazis did.
What are you talking about?
Well, Nazi
essences, the essences of races. What's the essence of being Italian?
Essences.
It's now esoteric.
Anyway, this is so dumb.
Identify racial groups based on that. Having bioessentialist beliefs predict exaggerations.
No, they don't.
Of the minor differences between these made-up categories and
So you're making them up from a made-up term. Oh wow! How could this ever work?
Making them irreconcilable rifts, which motivates a lack of interracial relationships.
So wait. You're saying?
No, we don't. We don't. We love touristing all over the world, learning food recipes from each other, enjoying each other's music. It's amazing. The only people who ruin it all the fucking time are the fucking socialists who come up with this racist bullshit that you are spouting here, who try to divide us all and tell us that, oh no, we can't enjoy each other's cool cultural stuff because that's cultural appropriation.
So here's a
in your lane.
Here's a fictitious term, creating a fictitious hierarchy, creating fictitious conflict called rifts, which is a bad thing. I don't know where. Why would you bring? This is so weird. What are you talking about?
Smart. It's projection. He accuses, or his ideology accuses, magical non-existent people to be doing that. So he has to take that imagined hierarchy that he perceives that he believes to perceive, that is only in his head, and to correct that, he has to invert it, counter it, turn it on its head, so that the oppressed are now the privileged. So to counter that, to heal that, but that is what creates the actual rift.
I don't even know what he's on about, but again, we have to get to a conclusion here so we can continue, because I'm just sitting here going, he made up a bunch of words. He's still on about it.
interaction, a lack of sharing resources with members outside of your group category, and supporting border securing policies.
We're going to build the wall. We have no choice.
Research shows
that wall is there to keep the fucking cartels out who traffic drugs, weapons, and children for sex.
Is America a social construct? Is that what he's trying to say? There should be no borders? Is that where he's going with this?
It's because you're racist that you want to build the border that is being used for human trafficking.
Okay.
You know, the border that is causing a major rift in the U.S. as we speak.
Oh, boy.
Human trafficking is a social construct.
Oh, no.
It doesn't exist.
Those sex slaves being pushed into the tunnels that intersect with the Jewish tunnels are just a social construct.
Sex slavery is a social construct.
I wish he wouldn't use those clips. He's really deriding whatever he's trying to say, because we know a wall and borders are real things with real issues.
He thinks it's super funny because he's on the right side of history. He defined himself as good and decided he's on as good by definition, and that circular logic makes him right on everything, including his imagined nonsense of the domination matrix.
All right. Anyway, let's try to
domination matrix.
Again, I want to get to the end of this paragraph, and hopefully before 15 minutes, because I don't think we can stomach this guy any further. At least I can't.
I am enjoying this.
I am just sitting here going, what is he saying?
Oh, the Rotom guy says go to the halfway mark.
The halfway mark?
That's one of the D&D stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to actually
he's
hear...
just starting to put the croutons into his word salad.
Oh my god.
How the and bioessentialism shapes the fabric of our legal and political system.
No, it doesn't, you retard. Where are you seriously believe the legal system?
Where is it in the legal system? It is outlawed. The people who brought it into the legal system, that's you fucking socialists. With your equity bullshit, where black people they need to have less points on the SAT now to get into university because we socialists believe that they are retarded because otherwise they wouldn't ever get into university. Which, by the way, is a wonderful scam because they then take student loans, go into university, fail, and still have to pay off the student loans, so they remain impoverished, and thus dependent on your bloody government handouts, and keep voting left-wing to get more government handouts.
I should not have to explain the origin of the law and rule of law and why we have lawyers and judges. And I'm quite sure those judges back in the day, if we're talking about America, so hundreds of years ago, went, you know what's really important? Bioessentialism. And we have to adhere the laws to this made-up concept that we just created in 2021 or whatever this video came out.
Oh, and we put there are now Asians in the United States that if they're like half elves, they put on as in the race category that they're white, because then they don't have to score higher SATs than the Caucasians, because this guy, when he went to US university and he put in Asian, he would have had to score higher on the SAT to get into university. Because this fucking socialist race bullshit is trying to keep the competent people out because they don't want so many Asians in the universities. They want more black people. They want to see the monkeys dance.
All right, here's a super chat. I gotta read it to keep myself sane. Frog Jupiter. Hey, cool name. Thank you, sir. As a newly anointed white man, I'm Asian, what are the rules? Do half-breeds, capital B, like Tim Pool, count as a full oppressor or a double white oppressor? It sounds like you're ordering a coffee. What are you talking about?
I would like a double oppressor.
I don't know. This has been so bizarre.
No. Tim Pool is a triple oppressor because he does not join the left, and therefore he is evil anyway, by definition. Even if he was black, he would be evil, like Eric July.
I want to get through this paragraph. I still don't know where he's going with it, and I'm lost. So
that's the intention.
We're all lost in mud.
I feel so stupid, not ignorant, just stupid. As I'm learning words, they have no meaning.
Smart. And that, imagine you are someone who has absolutely no clue about any of this, and you watch this, anybody who watches this and has no clue what this ideology really is and is doing will feel stupid, therefore think this guy is totally smart because I don't understand what he's saying. It must be super complicated and sophisticated. And then start believing this crap.
Well,
which is exactly what I've had in conversations with otherwise very intelligent older people who are avid Marxists. And they said to me that the stuff Marx wrote, that he tried, one in particular, he said, oh, it must be super, super good stuff because this was a very intelligent man. But I just I didn't understand. I tried to read it, I didn't understand it. So it must be, his conclusion was, therefore, because I am smart, but I don't understand Marx, therefore Marx must be so much more intelligent than I am, that it must all be correct. It never crossed his mind that it's all bullshit, and he couldn't understand it because it's all bullshit. And this is what the socialists are always doing. They're bullshitting us all, and then we're confused and think, oh, it must be, they're academics, so it must be really good, right?
Well, aside from
over my head.
Aside from this use of these made-up words, he used the word utilized twice in the same paragraph, which is a bad sign. People who use that word concurrently try to sound intelligent.
That's what he's a lawyer.
I know, yeah.
So you don't need to have a very high IQ to be a lawyer. That is sadly a fact.
Yeah. Anyway, you have to sound smart. That's how lawyers operate. Anyway, no offense to lawyers, just saying. Let's keep going.
There's always exceptions.
Noticed that at some points I say bioessentialism and at other points I say essentialism. That is because our brains don't limit essentialism to just biology.
Okay, shut up. I'm done with this guy. What the what the fuck was that? Sometimes I say the word blue and sometimes I mean blue-green. I was like, okay. I don't limit myself.
Because our brains both recognize blue, meaning I don't need to limit myself. Go fuck yourself.
Like, why would you even say that?
Because there's a general category and a specialized subcategory, and mentioning the general category, our brains notice that. What the fuck?
This brick is red, but you know what? I say it's purple because my brain is on the floor because I accidentally hit the brick.
All right, let's go to 15 minutes.
Remember when I said that this was all gonna be a bunch of bullshit from the word go?
All right, I see a symbol on the screen.
Why is it the 8-pointed star while talking about Tolkien?
I want to find out. Here we go.
Tolkien's work, but it is racist.
Okay, we're done. We're gonna go.
And fairly fascistic. Oh, this is just the good stuff, Smud.
No.
Oh, it's not even halfway through. It's amazing.
Come on.
20 minutes. Here we go. Oh, he's still talking. Oh, God. Oh, he's still
but
talking.
this is wonderful quote. Where was it from?
I don't want to know. Come on.
I want to know.
Oh, my God.
Everyone wants to know, Smud.
Oh, my God, you guys.
The chat wants to know. Look how happy the chat is.
Here we go again.
Is not as generous to Tolkien. He is quoted saying,
I love J.R.R. Tolkien's work, but it is racist and fairly fascistic. Most of the good guys are tall white men of the north and west, simple country farmers, and the Dúnedain who remain supermen even though their quality has diminished by mingling with the blood of lesser men. The dwarves and elves are also good races. The enemies are various swarming slave races, the cowardly Easterlings, the savage elephant-riding painted Haradrim, the literally subhuman orcs. Those counseling peace are perfidious fools, cowards, or traitors. This won't keep me from rereading the Silmarillion, The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings.
Those counseling peace.
Oh,
yeah, they are cowards and traitors because they're not counseling peace. They're counseling for opening your borders so that the enemy armies can come in, and while you don't get your men up in arms.
He's talking about Grima Worktom, who attempted to rape a woman, by the way.
Oh, boy.
Uh-huh.
The dwarves
he was pretty white.
Yeah, I hate this racist writer while I'm busy raping a woman. Okay, anyway, yeah.
I'm pretty sure
everything he has written wrong. This guy really can't understand language, it seems.
Yep.
Silmarillion.
I was looking at Silmarillion and I was like, should I mention it?
Anyway.
And the children of Huron. But Tolkien was a man of his time and place, and we should appreciate his virtues without ignoring his vices. Calling Tolkien himself a fascist is quite a few bridges too far for me.
But you just called him a fascist.
Or his work.
And wait, aren't elves kind of dicks in
his work is fascistic, but he's not a fascist.
Yeah, that's funny. That's great. Okay, whatever. This is some random dude. I don't even care.
Mr. Moorcock never changed.
Moorcock? His name is Moorcock.
Oh.
I don't.
Yeah, that explains the 8-pointed star.
All right. There's another guy.
Who the fuck's that guy?
Not a big fan of The Lord of the Rings. He said, quote, I found the Rings trilogy, well, tedious. The action dragged, and it smacked of an allegory of the struggle of the little common working folk of England against the threat of Hitler's Nazi evil.
Really?
At the risk of incurring the wrath of the professor's dedicated readers, I must say I was so bored with his tomes that it took me nearly 3 weeks to finish them. It's funny to me.
3 weeks to finish them? That's incredible. It took me 3 months to get through one book.
Yeah. And that was not an allegory to fight the Nazis. Why are these people so fucking dumb?
Pretty sure he didn't like allegory. Pretty sure.
All right, I gotta keep going. The Copperal, thank you, sir, for the super chats. How I did half-breed races in my books. They are a new race based on the parts of the Chimera, and everyone hates them. Now I need slurs. There you go. Let the racism flow through your books.
Try something like Latinx.
Oh no, that would be stupid. Don't give him bad ideas.
Not the only one that...
Or Jumpson.
Oh god. Anyway, let's keep going to 19 minutes. Let's go 20 minutes. There we go.
They will just say some wild, unthinking comment, but use it in the middle of a sincere compliment. Sort of the, you speak so well. I always said that Asian people were smart. Just give them a chance to learn English, and they can talk like a normal person.
Okay, that was weird.
Why the southern accent? What's with the fucking...
Because he's racist against U.S. Southerners.
Here we go, 22 minutes. Finally, orcs.
However, some 1/10 of orc-human mongrels, are sufficiently non-orcish to pass for human. So yeah.
Do you know what a mongrel is?
It continues. As it is assumed that the player character, which are of the half-orc race, are within the superior 10%. There's so many things to unpack here. First of all...
Don't care. Anyway.
Have you seen that?
I like that he actually uses... I like that he uses the art and the quotes from, I think that's first, like advanced D&D, and not what D&D is actually producing.
Mm-hmm. I think he's also racist against Loki's children.
Probably.
What are Loki's children anyway?
You don't want to know.
Oh, now I need to know.
Hey,
come on, Smud, you're skipping half of the video.
I don't want to hurt myself.
If in the D&D community, some folks start saying things like, why play a non-human race then? Well, first, the flavor is different regardless of the scores. Secondly, there are other features that the other races have, like dark vision, a way to incentivize playing them based on pure mechanics. Previous to this, there have been other solutions. I've touched on ancestry and cultures in previous video, and there's also an elf and an orc have a little baby.
What are you talking about? We play role-playing games for the story and to see the world from someone else's perspective. The character we write, it's a creative process. If you only play for the stats, you're not role-playing, you're hack and slashing.
No, but the stats are part of the role-playing. They change how you make a character. Removing that from the equation makes a very boring character, in my humble opinion. Limitations are inherent to role-playing. If you don't get minuses, then you're just really picking the one that gives you pluses for your, stats. And stats are important for role-playing. It's more than just story. It's a story working with the mechanic.
Yeah, it helps give you an idea of what's going on. But you don't play for the stats. When you're role-playing, you don't play for the stats. The stats are just a help to give you an idea of what the confines and directions of your imagination are. Oh, the elf has -2 constitution, but +2 dexterity. So he's probably a bit frail, thin, but very nimble, very graceful. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Nobody's a problem
which covers
with that
similar
part.
subject in a very similar manner, having parentages and upbringing, while having a title that makes me coo on the inside every time I hear it. And you can have discussions on cultural essentialism as well, as the book seemed to have an implicit buy-in to that concept, and it's a sister subject to bioessentialism. It prompts the question, if you take a non-Chinese child and plant them in Beijing, would they assimilate the math ability? By virtue of being raised in that cultural surrounding? When we understand that race...
No, we're done. That's it.
Wait, what happened? No, wait, what happened?
He said the thing a second time. That's my limit.
Racist.
Mark, you're no fun anymore.
Social construct, I'm done.
Come on.
No, this is a thing I learned back at university. As soon as I hear that term, I just turn my brain off. I'm saying, no, we don't need this anymore.
Wait, we skip the last 10 minutes?
Last 2
minutes.
It's
all a circus, but this is all these people believe in. So they justify every bullshit.
Oh my god, he's back in the Barbie realm.
Oh, really?
It's the end.
It exists for a reason. Propaganda exists for a reason. Think
Yeah,
about all
you're
the
spouting
effective
it.
misinformation campaigns that you've seen in your life.
Get vaccinated and wear your masks.
mask.
No kidding. Gee, I didn't know he was going to say something like that if I ever asked him about his politics.
You fucking projecting anti-science cunt. From when's this video?
Oh, let me check. It is 2 years ago. Oh, 3 years ago in August. Jeez.
What a fucking sheep.
I called it from the word go. And I saw essentially I was like, okay, we're going into eugenics. That's where we're going. There's no way we're avoiding this. We're going into eugenics.
Why
and
is
it's
it
a person that is thinly veiled eugenicist?
every single person we cover who has crazy ideas or makes shit up is always on the other side of everything else, like logic and reason and science and evidence-based action?
Socialism requires that.
Does he have?
Because it cannot function with those things. It has to remove them.
Let me check his Twitter. I'm sure he's gonna have Twitter because of course.
Oh my god!
Of course he does.
My guess he's an Antifa lawyer. Who defends Antifa in court.
Oh, he doesn't have an about page. Oh, I don't know. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, he does. Okay.
Where's his early life section?
Let me go to his Twitter. Okay. Yep. He's got him, and he's got South Korean flag, American flag, and some other, I can't tell exactly what flag that is. But he does video essays on TTRPGs, history, and social issues.
He's probably such a bad lawyer, he has to do this to have a modicum income.
Okay, well, that's enough I need to know about this guy. Let's watch the last 2 minutes of this and call it a day.
We have to come to terms with the fact that we are affected by this. We are not immune to this influence.
That's why you're peddling it.
I want to say this outright. If you play with alt-works or evil tropes in your game, I don't think you're racist. I mean, you may be, but...
Okay, well, we don't need
You just said you're not racist.
We don't need this.
He's trying to be quirky.
I don't know what he's doing, but I don't care.
He's so funny.
Makes you racist. And to be fair, aside from some people on Twitter, and you should never use Twitter as a metric for anything, I haven't really heard anyone say that.
Why are you on Twitter then,
Then
sir?
why did you make this video?
Why is this entire video a thing then if you have even a modicum of understanding that what you're arguing is against a straw man?
I hold all the positions so that I can always be right, no matter what you disprove.
This is like the guy that's playing... this is the guy that's playing roulette at like the poker table, and he puts his money on red and black in equal measure, so he always wins.
He's not a fence sitter. He's standing firmly on each sides of the fence.
Yep.
Wait, how the hell do you even do that?
It's
Simple.
just in case the other side wins, so that he can say, "Yeah, I wasn't actually believing in it. See, I said for 5 seconds that it's actually not bad." After 40 minutes arguing for it.
All right.
I think it's a trope in your game, though. And I just want you to take a second to think about it. I also think it's lazy storytelling. And to be honest, I think we all should think a little bit more deeply about how we set up conflicts in our games. Now, this doesn't mean your big bad evil guy can't be orcs. They don't even need to be complex orcs that are just misunderstood. They can be unapologetic, tusk-stroking, evil to the core orcs. The only thing to really think about is whether or not all orcs in your game are evil.
What?
That
you just said that.
You always had... I've said that this is in the beginning. You always had this in D&D. You could always have your exceptional character from the standard evil race.
From the very
That's the fucking point.
From very first edition of D&D, there are options for playing orcs or working with orcs and giving NPC stats for orcs. There are several adventures, if I remember correctly, that include orcs as being able to help the party out against rival clans of orcs, because orcs are not, necessarily out to kill everything. They aren't just all orcs, every orc.
I seem to remember
they're at the end human in that sense.
I seem to remember a game called Warcraft 3 where you get to play as the orcs, and they're pretty cool. They have nuance.
Yeah.
They have a whole plot line.
Culture thing.
Yeah. That was we dealt with this 20 years ago, not because it was an issue, but because look, you could play as an orc. That's cool. And that was that. We
dealt with this since Tolkien brought the orcs into the modern mindset.
Yeah, now we have all kinds of stories in the East of elves that are superior and they suck. And there's always maybe like one or two of the outliers. They're the downtrodden. You have to get to save, or the hero gets to save them. So no, this is not a big deal, and it's not a racial deal. It's a stupid non-issue that you are trying to intellectualize. And we're sitting there going, this is made up. You're not making much sense. You're not influencing anyone to play a game in a different way. Especially when you say, you could totally play a game with all your orcs are evil, except when maybe think about it differently. It's like, wait, can I or can I not have a game where all of my orcs are evil?
Can I have all goblins be like some flavor of evil? Am I allowed to do that? Or is that also racist? Is that bioessential?
Yeah.
Just Mr. Kimchi, just maybe consider what you just said when your socialist buddies are going rambling on about all white people are racist and evil again.
And the Jews are evil. They're going to go there.
What is it? Rape culture thingy stuffs. Fucking hell.
Why? There is a difference between having something bad in your game and promoting immoral ideas.
Worst thing that ever happened to humanity.
If the evil person is being evil, you aren't promoting evil. You have the grim, dark, and hard situations in your game. But if you set immoral ideas as true in your world, you may have inadvertently contributed to something terrible.
Why? What do you mean? If I create a
rape bad,
this is blooper reel.
If I have a necromancer villain who believes he should kill everyone so he can make a necromancing kingdom, that's his ideal. That's his.
If you
maxim.
have a more okay. I enjoy the fact that he just said, if you have a moral compass, you are attributing to evil. He just said, if you hold a value to be true or good, then you might be contributing to evil. If you say rape bad, well, not all rape bad. He's the embodiment of the low IQ individual that will say, look at statistics and say, well, not all.
Well, you see, not all giraffes.
Correction. The issue is not the low IQ people. The low IQ people are actually pointing this stuff out. They're not smart enough to be confused by this stuff. The people who are confused by the stuff are the midwits, the people of average intelligence.
All right. 20 more seconds, and then we'll get to memes, and I got to read some super chats later. Here we go.
Even if, in just a small way, is it that necessary? Just ask yourself why. And why do your players want to kill orc babies so much? Thanks for watching.
They're evil, that's why.
Because they're rape murder fucking people.
How did the goblin say I put it? One day they're not going to look so cutesy. One day they're going to bear an axe down upon your children and then crunch their skulls. You probably say something to that effect about goblins.
Yeah. That's the beautiful thing about that manga I'm reading. He kills all orcs and goblins, not because they're good or bad. It's because they're monsters. There's nothing inherently human about them. They want to eat you. You need to kill them.
The goblins are the product and worshippers of an inherently evil god.
And he, this character in the story,
and
worships...
they enjoy their sadist. It's a sadistic race.
It worships the goddess of the harvest and of life, and they are antithetical to each other. It is this moral difference that they are inherently opposing. It's not even a question of, well, they could be good. No! They're evil. They must be destroyed. That is the lore of the story. It doesn't mean all orcs are bad.
Smud.
What?
You can fix them.
Oh, yeah.
You believe me, you could fix... You just... It's going to take a bunch of backflips and mental gymnastics, but I'm sure you could save the monster fucking human raping orcs.
That reminds me.
Yeah, that
reminds me.
That's why I always say, take all these people who think like this, pay them a one-way ticket with no return allowed to some African or Muslim hellhole country that they love so much, and then leave them there.
Well, it reminded me of that one episode of Freyren where we learned that she hates demons, and there's like the 1 minute explaining, like they tried to befriend a demon, this little girl demon, and she ends up lighting the whole house on fire that tried to befriend her. She took the daughter away. Said, oh, here's a new daughter for you. I thought because I killed one, here's a new one.
Because you were sad.
Yeah, and she has
lost your daughter,
no concept of humanity, just complete evil.
It's not that she's complete evil. It's that she has no conscience.
Well, that's
the demons in Frieren. The demons in Frieren are psychopaths. They are full 100% psychopaths. It's hyper rational. They do not understand the concept of family, because how could they? They have no empathy. The things done, if you put it through looking at it through these are psychopaths, their behavior 100% makes sense within that confinement. And Frieren explains you can't trust them. They use language not to communicate. They use it to manipulate. And that is something that is inherently true about narcissists and psychopaths.
All right. Okay, let's get to the super chats, and then we'll get to some memes if we got any. I don't know if you guys made any for this guy. I don't know why you would, but anyway. Vladimir Dragunov, thank you, sir. Come on, say orcs are black people already. You know you want to, you hack. I think he said that in a very elaborate way in the first 15 minutes. Here we go again from Dragunov. So on a scale of soft slap to brass-knuckled haymaker, how punchable is this guy's face?
I think it's already been punched in.
I think
just look at his nose.
I think we're on a very high 9. It's one of those things where after you've listened to him for more than 5 minutes, you're like, yeah, this guy is just obnoxious. So as an American, I must thank you, Smud, for accepting him into Canada. No givesies, backsies. Is he in Canada? I thought he was an American lawyer.
Yeah, he's in Canada. No backs. You heard the man, Smud. No backs. No problem now. Ciao.
This is probably why our legal system is so backed up. But anyway.
I think you should send Trudeau back to Cuba.
I don't know where.
So he can take the legacy of his father.
True father.
Chad Summer. I love that name. Chad Summer. Read Siberiad. Siberiad. Time to pass out now. Time to pass out. No. Time to pass out. No. All right. And another Vladimir Dragunov. Obligatory purge the knife ears. That's great.
I agree.
Knife ears.
Kill them all. All right. Let's get to the memes if we got any. If we don't, that's okay.
Oh, we got a lot.
Oh, God, that was quick.
Oh, Jesus.
All right.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, sir, the armies of Mordor are invading. What are your orders? Armies invading. These are refugees.
I think you need to scroll up.
No.
You need to scroll up.
Scroll up.
You are way too far down.
Oh, it's today. Wait. Yeah, today it's 5:46 is the time.
Okay. Okay, I see it now. Rotom, hell yes, Smudcast, you guys picked up my video. Let's go. Yeah, you son of a gun. Oh my god.
We chose the video, and Smud decided to rip through it.
It was horrible. People who judge you for the color of your skin. Aliens.
Socialists.
President. I am black.
Alien social.
I am black, and I was the president of the USA. You looser. All right, feeding baby right. Wrong.
Doesn't seem like a good achievement for being a president. If anything, it just kind of cheapens your presidency.
Depending on the angle of that chicken leg, I mean, it could be right. So, gotta teach them early how to chew without the teeth. Figure 1, that's racist meme. Figure 2, that's racist meme. Oh jeez, KFC in the background. Just
bone in there.
Just hovering. Maybe he's thinking KFC.
The day I learned that they make fried watermelon, I was done.
Rotom, welcome to the smug family. Oh. I don't really feel smug. I just feel vindicated. My little brother, I want to be a racist when I grow up. My mom, you told him that car racers are called racists. My sister. That's funny. Fun little tricks you play on your little brother. Also Europeans. Americans are so racist. We don't have that problem. Gypsies.
French. Why is nobody talking about the French anymore?
What's a bigger problem? The Romanians stealing your car tires, or the gypsy defiling your bloodline?
This is great. Don't be racist. Be like Mario. He's an Italian plumber created by Japanese people who speaks English and looks like a Mexican, jumps like a black man, and grabs coins like a Jew.
Don't forget voiced by a French man.
Yeah, we can keep going with that one. Yeah, it's pretty far.
Wasn't that an Italian?
Nope.
Italian plumber. Anyway. Orcs are a metaphor for black people, so it's racist to fight them. Orcs are a metaphor for toxic masculinity, so we should fight them. Orcs are orcs, and if you see something else in them, you're overgeneralizing. Yeah. Sounds good to me. Doesn't have to be complicated. You can make orcs good or bad in your story. There's nothing wrong with that.
Americans judging Europeans over their opinion on gypsy culture.
Is that a thing?
Americans after meeting a gypsy in Europe.
I know there's...
we have a gypsy quarter here in town.
Okay.
You should not drive there.
You
should not stop there.
Do they make wicker objects and burn things?
Do they put on a show?
You may need an ambulance.
Oh.
I'm not kidding. The police doesn't go there. They don't want you to go there so they don't have to work.
Man, you know what? I wish for once Disney's depiction was the one we had in real life. If every gypsy was like a gypsy girl, the world would be a better place.
Uh-huh.
You know, when I said if the gypsies put on a show, I didn't mean put me in the hospital.
I don't know how in China the bat symbol means supper's ready, but okay. Tolkien's racist. If you see this and your first thought is black person, well... yeah. I finally hooked up my PS5, hooked up and bought Persona 3 Reloaded. Nice. Today's everything coming up Roton. You know what?
You bought the game console with no games? And consoles?
Why did you buy the next remake that has the localization propaganda in it?
It does?
Yeah, go.
It looks really
get
good.
The real version. This
the
original
translation was proudly presented as something the Americans had almost full control over.
I gotta watch
I got to censor.
Yeah, I gotta see the references, but I saw the various trailers and reviews. It looks fantastic. Of course, I know the game very well.
Nobody's going to argue with you in regards to looks.
So
just visually.
Oh, so the translation is just weird. They got some...
Yes.
Okay, I'll check it out. Uploads this meme. I want to be racist when I grow up. I see you're a man of taste, Dr. Chrisman. I love Survivor 2. Dr. Chrisman.
I've not seen that.
Okay. Goblins and orcs are natural enemies, like elves and orcs, or dwarves and orcs, or humans and orcs, or orcs and other orcs. Damn orcs. They ruined Faerun. Har har. Sir, the armies of Mordor are... Okay, we did that. Oh, this is where I started. D&D is getting rid of the concept of evil races. Orcs aren't inherently evil, just like you guys. Wait, you think I look like an orc? Yeah. How did this start, anyway? Who assumed that orcs were black people? I wonder. Old problematic Dungeons and Dragons. Looks pretty good. New player-friendly Origins Dungeons and Dragons. Oh my god.
Wait, where'd the midget go?
They're all...
He's the big blonde guy now.
Metrosexual men that look exactly the same.
He was midget.
How did that happen?
So, one of the big things that led to black people being associated with orcs happened in nerd culture first, from around the 80s and 90s, with stuff like Shadowrun.
Okay.
And what's it called? Of steampunk and magic.
Obscura, really?
Shadowrun was based on Earthdawn, where the orcs did already have a culture, yes.
Yeah, but there were all kinds of races in Shadowrun.
Yeah, there were also trolls.
Right?
And
dragons. And...
I think 3 dragons had already remanifested, but not all the races from Earthdawn had already remanifested because the magic level was not high enough yet. So if it raised further, you would also get lizardmen, for example.
Yeah, but that's one of the ones that comes to mind in regards to, modern day orcs. And they're essentially just big black people.
Well, does anyone know what a mulatto is? I seem to have forgotten.
That is a half white, half black guy who's, well, just brownish, light brownish.
I blame the lawyerism.
And they invented those terms for themselves.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine a world without lawyers? No, I think we need lawyers, guys.
No.
Kind of important.
I hate lawyers.
But
I want to change the system with lawyers back to the where, yes, you should have a lawyer, but the lawyer is not forbidding you to speak. You have to represent yourself, and your lawyer is only there to advise you on law. I hate this shit where the lawyer speaks for you, and if your lawyer fucks up or doesn't even do any work, you're just fucked. And it's then somehow legally defined as your fault that your lawyer sabotaged you. Because that's how it is in Germany right now.
All right, so here we got orcs in Tolkien, classic pig, and Warhammer. You may choose any of the many orc types for your setting. The guy chooses the green muscle mommy. Okay. I want the green muscle.
Dungeon Master is the Dungeon Master from the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
God, the rainbow looked ugly in that lawyer meme.
What we got here? Hold on. How did we get from bioessentialism to D&D? It's smart. These people don't go from A to B. They go from A to straight to 100. I feel like that definition section was just him rambling. I'm going to define some terms. Blah, 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 blah. Like, oh, here's words.
I need all of these ingredients for my word salad.
That's him, officer. That's the pointy-eared dark elf right there, sticking up this fine white Nordic Skyrim.
It's the fucking ruckus.
Here we go. Race war. Wisp, you want to read this one out? I don't want to.
Rotom says, speaking of Survivor, Wisp, if I remember correctly, you hated the Wheel of Time TV show. Everybody who has 3 brain cells left does. Well, what if I told you Rafe Judkins got his start on Survivor? I've never heard of that show, and I don't think I care. Judkins competed on the 11th season. Oh, damn, he survived? Survivor Guatemala. How? He was actually one of the most strategic players that season, and he made it all the way to the final 3. Probably because he is a Machiavellian narcissist. He could have won,
no.
but he decided stupidly eliminate the older Lydia when he could have beaten her in the final immunity challenge, whatever that means. To be fair, he was going up against Danny and Stephanie, who were both very athletic women. He couldn't have predicted how good that challenge would align with their strengths. In summary, Whisp, on behalf of the survivor community, we're sorry for Rafe Judkins.
Yeah, it's a.
I'm sorry he survived.
Survivor.
A gay man in Guatemala.
Yeah.
What?
Wait, what's a narcissistic Machiavellian?
Don't ask Whisp. Anyway, let's keep going. I don't know what this meme is all about, but it's pretty big. May Talos bless you. I came as fast as I could. Is that the guy from Whiterun who just keeps talking about Talos? Removing a Dunn spirit from a home is as difficult as removing the stink from a hunk of mammoth dung. We must use these tools that the great Talos has given us to fight a Nva. The Wutrat, the armor of Tiber Septim, an Argonian liberation force. These things strike fear into the Nva's heart. Who in oblivion are you? My name is Rolf Stonefist. In the name of Nord Talos and all the great Nords who come thereafter, I command that dark Nva soul back to the depths of oblivion. Nva, get your grey ass out of here. I don't actually get the joke, but okay. That was very long to figure out what was going on. Still don't know. Anyway. So sleepy? It wasn't a sleepy video. It was just a confusing, dumb one.
Wizards of the Crows.
No! Oh, there's Survivor. Oh, who cares? I mean, it's still... I can't believe this show...
Is this the show that had the men and the women island and were dying?
They had to procure food, but they always had like rice and whatever in case they starved.
Pig as a pet. You know, that'd be normal in regular society, but unfortunately, you're not in regular society. You're on an island, and that pig is your meal. So eat the damn thing, or you don't live.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
All right, what we got here? When will you humans learn that your feelings, as you call them, can stand in the way of big cash payoffs? Here we go. What is your race? Is your race racist? Black? Oh my God. Normal or Asian?
Wait, why is the Mexican normal?
I don't know. Oh boy. BLM protesters after seeing a black person getting discriminated. Oh dear, gorgeous. The same BLM protesters after seeing an Asian. You fucking donkey. A little different, yeah. On his children's shows, he's really good to kids. That's Gordon Ramsay. What's your type? Don't have one. I sentence you to kiss my ass? Why is he doing that to
a
a
road
car?
rage judge.
Yeah. I think One Piece is overrated, and the latest wave of hype for it annoys me, but this gives it value. That's him, Admiral. That's the no-good slimy fish sticking up this fine human Mary Giroir. Alrighty. Smudcast. Who would win in a legal bout, Phoenix Wright or Atticus Finch?
Are they on the same... Oh, wait.
It depends on what bullshit Phoenix Wright pulls up at the last minute, because he always has some dumb objection, and he invents evidence that was not entered into the court, which is illegal. So you have to, they're a little loose and free in the Phoenix Wright games. But it's all for fun. Wisp, it's like that Master Chef show with Gordon Ramsay. Rotom, I love that show too, Wisp. What's your favorite winner? You better not say Courtney from season 5 of Master Chef.
Oh God.
No, he's
only the first 2 seasons were actually about cooking. After that, it just turns into negative competition, sniping away the people that are better than you, and ending up with the upper average and not the actual best. The Blind Girl was pretty good, though.
It depends, because some of his shows are good. Like the ones like...
Wait, they let the blind girl cook?
Yeah, there was a blind cook. She was actually pretty good.
Like if you watch MasterChef Australia, it's probably the best because they're so kind to each other and they give us ideas and they help each other out and everyone's trying to do their best.
I'm not here for the kindness. I'm here for the bloodshed.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean Canada?
Canada has one. They're a bit kinder, not as kind as Australia, but they're pretty good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
No, I've only seen the Americans so far, and it is just it's atrocious.
It's
how much they
brutal,
added canned noises in and put the scenes together in a way that it makes it look like horrible things happen. And every time everything is plated on the last second, it's like, what the fuck?
If you guys don't know how these shows work, they always have 2 plates. So they make the 3 that you see on the camera, and then they have the 3 beneath the counter that has to be hot because this takes at least 20 minutes for the shot to be taken, and then you have to wait for everyone else's shot to be taken as they go up to the judges. So it doesn't matter if it's Master Chef or Top Chef or all these other shows. Food is cold, okay? If you pull it out of the oven, it starts to get cold. So it's all smoke and mirrors. And a lot of it's fabricated. A lot of it's like fake drama.
They have for 0.2 of a fifth of a second in the credits at the end. There's a disclaimer that some of these some of the scenes have been edited together and recreated with the people participating afterwards and so on. So it's all fake.
Look to the cookies. What's going on here?
You're there for the enjoyment of the experience.
Does anyone know what this Seinfeld episode was about? I can't recall.
I don't watch it.
Yeah. Okay. What we got?
Why did the chicken cross the road, you ass? Get away from the bike.
All right. Oh, that's so tiny.
In the name of the white god emperor mankind, I purged this heretic back from the depths of hell.
Nice.
And then Ruckus and Cora.
Bendas over there.
Them bendas over there.
Okay. All right. Thank the whites. Thank the whites. Oh. Oh dear, what's going on here? He is even worse than a Noah. He is a Meazura. Forgive me for uttering the word Argonian. Argonian. Okay.
Have you never read the... No, you haven't.
All right, Smudge. Just stand still. Don't resist. We're dragging you off to the dungeon. You're not gonna be allowed to leave till you play through all of Daggerfall, okay?
Oh god, Dagger. That's the game I skipped.
You fucking come here.
I played the original. I was happy with that.
Look at Smut has
Daggerfall is the original ++. How the hell can you skip Daggerfall?
There was Arena. That was the first one.
Yes, and Daggerfall is better in every way.
Okay,
but the Arena.
Let me pull up my 486 and reinstall. Okay.
Smut, have you actually played through Vampire the Masquerade as a Malkavian?
Yeah, of course.
The full thing?
Well, it was pretty wild. Like you would play for 1 hour here and there, and then it would take like a few months.
Did you ever finish it?
Yeah, several times.
Okay. All right. As a Malkavian?
Yes.
Good. Okay.
It was great.
Okay.
I can't remember every line. That was like 20 years ago. I can't remember everything.
Checking your credentials like you were a real person.
Anyway. Yes, this was the clip he used. This just brought up the second worst epic rap battle as ammo against Thomas Jefferson. Everyone hates this battle because Jefferson had to backpedal for his entire second verse after Frederick Douglass basically went, "You own slaves," blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that was a weird one. Because Jefferson was just like, "I'm amazing," and they did the same thing with Newton, where Newton was just like, "I'm amazing," and they had to bring in a second rapper to deal with Newton, whereas Jefferson.
Oh no!
And Neil deGrasse Tyson had to come in and battle Newton, but this one Jefferson was like, "I'm the third president."
I inherited slaves, and I cannot legally free them because the law does not allow. Well, I wonder whether I will get accused of being a horrible slaver in 200 years.
Why didn't the president free his slaves? It's like he can't do that.
The law didn't allow for it.
It's like, oh, you could do all kinds of things as a president. You can, but not slavery. Like if someone's accused of a murder, you can pardon them, but not a slave. Anyway, my honest reaction to this video, you just went full and wild. I don't know what this video purpose was aside from playing to his base. I couldn't say exactly.
Newsweek. Is your baby racist? Exploring the robots.
The robots.
Exploring the roots of discrimination.
I want to know. I want to see these discriminated robots. I want to see what minority we got.
A diplomat's post 9/11 diary.
Fuck,
Geopolitics of golf. Frankenstein revisited.
That was 2009?
Yeah, well.
Bloody hell.
The tool.
I'm more interested in the Frankenstein.
The tool Whisp mentioned. Okay, yeah, it was the thing. A diversity tool to rate character diversity on metrics like gender identity and ethnicity, and it's weird.
The domination matrix.
Diversity space method. Culture.
But it's barely going towards culture.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Ethnicity. I don't know what they mean by culture and ethnicity. Different, but okay. Age, ability, whatever that means. Body type.
They use ethnicity as a substitute for race.
Yeah, but
what about the culture?
How do you gauge body type? Is it like the higher you go, the fatter you are, or the more buff?
Yeah,
you are?
anything that diverges from the alleged
norm.
Ideal.
Okay, gender identity is also on a scale, whatever that means. And sexual orientation, of course, is on a scale. It's 0.
But culture. That's the only one it's not even hitting.
Non-binary is middle and trans would be top, and you get no points for being a normal, sane person.
So basically, everyone is their own snowflake on a particular level. So if your age,
exactly,
you're not.
By the way, this very thing here, scoring people's value based on their immutable characteristics, is the very thing outlawed by the Human Rights Charter and the German Constitution after World War II, because that's what the Nazis did, and we wrote this shit in response to what the Nazis did. This is what the Nazis did. These people are doing what the Nazis did.
I have to hammer that into everyone's heads.
I have to hammer that into everyone's heads. These people who accuse us all of being Nazis for not being on their team are doing what the actual Nazis did.
You have the only choices of dwarf, black man, or lesbian. That's it.
Well,
that's all we got here.
Already posted. Oh my god, it's Jackie Chan. Oh my god, it's Jackie Chan. Oh my god, it's Jackie Chan. This is.
Wait, you skipped the other meme.
Which one? This is the border. I don't want to talk about the Mexican border wall versus.
Fair.
Yeah, let's not bring that up.
Ruckus again.
Donald Trump and MAGA border solutions. Oh, that's electrified wall with the army guarding it, with a literal moat with gators in it. With what are those F-16s or F-14? I don't know what those are.
Can we put lasers on the alligators?
Like, Jesus, like how many? I mean, they put barbed wire.
I want lasers on the alligators.
They put barbed wire up on the fences in Texas. And I think this is a bit overkill. It'll work, but it's overkill. To quote that broke Smud, Bioessentialism is gaming. I love J.R.R. Tolkien's work, but it is racist and fairly fascistic most of Yeah, that's where I stopped.
Only the guy who made Elric. You know what? I'm glad I'm glad this guy's work got fucking plagiarized. Maybe at least the plagiarizers didn't call Tolkien.
Oh my god! If you ever have a message from a girl on a dating app, or I don't know how this would work, but if she ever types something like J.R.R. Tolkien's colonialism, and ambiguously racist
Break up with it.
and race-based elements go further into stereotyping good versus evil. Just do exactly what the guy did in his phone and just block the whole
stereotyping good versus evil. I think good is good and evil is evil. I think it helps.
Can't you have an evil villain just be evil for fun,
Oh, Michael Moorcock was the author of the Elric saga, who hated Tolkien's flavor of fantasy. Okay. He was also a big inspiration to Warhammer, and the 8-pointed arrow thing is the Chaos logo in Warhammer. Yeah, I thought it was something like that.
Moorcock would not have written fantasy without Tolkien laying the ground.
Yeah,
and he admitted as such that he's a terrible writer with good ideas. Well, Tolkien is a good writer with awful ideas.
There's plenty of reason to hate a thing and be inspired by it to cause you to do something else. That's normal when people get inspired. It could be good inspiration or negative inspiration or positive. Makes no difference. Oh
Tolkien had no bad ideas.
What's
he talking about?
That's how you do them. It was important we broke the lore because Tolkien failed to write about any people of color. That's just weird. Visible Easterling confusion, angry Haradrim noises. Yeah, the Haradrim. Oh boy.
Haradrim.
This is okay. Do I have to read this? Christopher, my son.
Christopher, my son, did I ever tell you the full story of Shelob? You know, the monstrous spider descended from the vile Ungoliant, which I used to read aloud of in our Oxford meetings of the Inklings? Well, what I didn't mention back then was Shelob could also transform into a totally hot babe, all pale and dark and wan like Rebecca in Ivanhoe, or what will later come to be known as the goth subculture. In fact, she looked very much like the pornographic actress Stoya, who will be born 13 years after I died. Christopher, I will be entrusting you with my estate. If there is ever a video game adaptation of my work, you must make sure they get this Shelob right. Make sure she is what the Anglo-Saxons would have called a real sexy bitch.
I can't remember if that was approved of or looked down upon by Tolkien fans.
I remember watching Wolf review the game, Dishonored Wolf. He was so confused by that decision.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, he was a big
Tolkien. Yeah, it was just fucking weird.
Yeah.
In general, you can argue that horrible monsters are known to take on the shapes of alluring humans.
Oh god, pretty much every manga that...
Still not touching it, because I know I can see the spider.
I think the Japanese have the most mythological creatures that do that.
Yeah. All right, Uruk-hai, Helm's Deep protests. Hundreds killed in largely peaceful protest by Sauron worshippers. There is so much to unpack here. I don't care. I don't, yeah. Useless topic of meaningless ideas.
He's just unpacking bubble wrap.
Yeah. Well, unpacking his ass. If you think Game of Thrones is dark, look up the saga of Elric and his blade Stormbringer. You'll think was written by Disney. I know what it's about, but I haven't read it, so it's one of those cursed things. Like, I don't care.
He's just sad he isn't cursed.
Jared Tolkien, racist and sexist fans, you're not affiliated with me. Yeah. Everything LegalKimchi believes in. Yes. At any time anyone makes this reference or says social construct, have a little ticker in your brain going, he said it once. If he says it a second time, everything he has to say is meaningless.
In this shot, he's also wearing an anti-style logo. It's the thing where you have only 3 letters top, 3 letters bottom. They're all consonants. And if you fill in the vowels, it will make this some Antifa slogan.
Clorox.
No, you skipped the Uruk-hai.
It's fine. We already had one previously. It's the same joke. You just reached a whole new level of stupid. The Emperor's not pleased.
Chuck Wendy.
No, no, Chuck Wendy.
We had this last time.
Gimli, the Orc Slayer, who bested the elf by 1. He did? I thought Legolas won. All right.
Now remember, he got 33.
Yeah, all right.
Because he killed the guy.
Who's
no, it was Gimli that was sitting at either 30 or 43, and then Legolas kills the orc he's sitting on because he was twitching. So he's got his axe in his nervous system.
All right. Whisp, Lal, Mike, who's the better Warhammer orc? Grimgor Ironhide or Gazgul Mac Uruk Thraka?
Wow, you pronounced that almost correct.
Yeah. That's a good question. In terms of orkiness, I would say Grimgor is probably the best interpretation of an orc. Just with how he goes about his things. As for who's the most successful, that's Thraka, I'd say. Because Grimgor shows up, gets his ass kicked, and shows up again to kick the Everchills in the dick and then walk off. Which isn't exactly, winning. It's more like you get the assassination animation of someone in Call of Duty. That's not exactly like glorious victory. That's like 1 L on your enemy.
What Lala said.
All right. You gotta smite all the evil, kid. Orc Lives Matter. How much you want to bet LegalKimchi has this as a poster in his house? I don't know. I don't want to speculate. We was orcs and she...
I remember... it was some guy I was watching for D&D content. That was like DM guys, like how to make a good prison break. How to make interesting characters. Figuring out things on the spot. Stuff like that. And he just had a how to do political issues in your games. And he said that you could use orcs as a euphemism for black people.
What?
Well,
why?
And the people wishing to kill orcs as the KKK.
Well, this is a great matchup. I've never seen it before. Obviously, it's a fan art, but Goblin Slayer and Freyrin. Biggers? What? All right. V, King of the what?
King
of the Gypsies? Oh.
V is good. V is good boy.
Also, Tolkien's stance on all orcs are chaotically evil thing. Okay, here we go. Always chaotic evil. Tolkien himself was troubled by the unfortunate implications, but having evil creatures warped by the Dark Lords was essential to the narratives he's constructed. He never found a satisfactory explanation of what orcs were corrupted from and how they could all be evil. To his credit, he managed to give each orc that had a name a unique, if still evil, personality. And Elrond mentions that all living things, save for elves, were found on both sides in the final battle against Sauron. This presumably includes orcs and trolls. Sometimes after the publication, the professor admitted the miserable living conditions turned people evil based on his World War I experience. Okay.
We were all orcs in the Great War.
I remember he was lamenting that he didn't really flesh out the orcs as much as he really wanted to.
I think
because
he did a good job.
He thought that there were major discrepancies in regards to, they have no culture, they have no society, whilst displaying orc civilization and society throughout the entire trilogy, and even in the Silmarillion.
I don't know if you're gonna have a giant amount of villains that act as cannon fodder shock troops. You don't have to he did flesh them out, but he didn't have to go into that much detail as he did with the elves and the various dwarves and their histories. You don't have to do that because they're a relatively young race that were just birthed a few months ago.
Yeah, and the evil influence is there. That's you have your magic stuff suffices completely. And if you want to go into his historical comparisons or inspirations, the Germans were the orcs to the Romans. You had the great civilization, you had a big wall, and you had these weird tribes that do weird shit and fight in horrible ways and somehow still can destroy legions. It's horrible.
I think the main frustration he had is probably somebody commenting or sending a letter to him in regards to that question, like, okay, if orcs have no society, then why are you showing orcs with society? And he couldn't think of a satisfactory answer to that.
I'm not concerned.
Well, because there's still sentient beings that will organize in some fashion.
Yeah, I'm not like you're using the focus of a narrative to say, well, why wasn't this fleshed out? They're a villain. It's like, yes, they're a villain, but they're not a character, or we're not focusing on one specific orc and getting their backstory. And if we are, then that's just about that one, not all orc culture. So we don't have to. We don't. There's certain details.
Absolutely.
We don't need, like the collectors in Mass Effect 2. I don't need to know what they are. They're a puppet race. They were taken over by the big bad guys. They were influenced by them, and that's it. They're a puppet race. They do whatever they act as puppets.
I do think it's very interesting that you mentioned the collectors from one of the games you will ambassador the most over a decade.
Oh, they tried to flesh them out a little bit in the comics and other places, but they're basically the big spooky, mysterious puppet race that has no thoughts to their head because they're a bunch of robots. They act like a bunch of robots. It's all they are. And if that's it, they're controlled by the big bad, then that's it. It's all we need to know. They were genetically manipulated. They have no minds. They have no freedom. They're basically robots. That's all you need to know. So,
wasn't that also what the Reapers were in Mass Effect 1?
The Reapers were a lot more in Mass Effect 1. They were the whole billion years old god-like cybernetic creatures that no one could understand. So once you say they're gods, like, okay, so they're beyond comprehension. You need that level of mystery. If you start revealing stuff in a stupid way or in an improper way, if you say they're gods, then no, they're not really gods. They're little 3-story giants that take on the form of their biological components. Then you're like, what? That's stupid. So yeah, they screwed.
And why do they all look like shrimp?
Why is their exterior all based? Oh wait, we have DLC for it to explain that, because that's how stupid these writers are. It's like, let's flesh out the Cthulhu gods. Like, no, let's not do that. That'd be silly. So there's certain reasons to flesh out and world build, and there's reasons when you don't. And with the orcs, you don't really need to do that much. It's not that
really much. Yeah, you really don't. The basic stuff he sets up, I think, is very satisfying. He could probably just cut that line and say there's a parody of other societies. And essentially wipe his hands clean.
Right. It's very similar to when people complain about the characters they like, that they fetishize over, or they focus on, why can't we get more scenes? They write their own fanfic about that, because this is what to them is the most important part, the implied...
This specific character.
Whether it's this character...
Or this specific idea.
Or their ship that they want to fly off into the sunset together. Like, it's like, oh, this is what really matters to me. It's like, yeah, the writer didn't focus on that because that's not what the story's about. So unless there's a hole in the plot that doesn't facilitate their behavior, then yeah, that's a problem. But for the most part, once you say he's a big bad evil guy like Kefka in Final Fantasy VI, it's like, oh, he's crazy. He's basically the Joker. Like, oh, all right. Fair enough. Plus,
you have another super chat.
I do. Oh no. Okay. The obligatory purge the knife ears. Okay. That was one of the memes. Fair enough. The bat signal is a COVID joke. Oh, I was like thinking of like food, or like, when is it? It's dinner time.
Well, they do eat bats.
Oh, really?
Bats are food in China.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Everything that moves is food in China.
Okay. Chad Summer, once again. Remember when Wheel of Time was about men and women working together to defeat evil? I remember.
Uh-huh.
Huh.
Yeah.
Good old days.
Isn't there a quote in Wheel of Time that goes something like, after orcs showed up, we didn't see white or black, we just saw green?
Oh.
In Wheel of Time? No. The Trollocs are not green. That is not a line from Wheel of Time, no.
All right.
Anyway, that was I don't know how to describe or characterize this video. It was a made-up issue of a non-problem of people who already are having fun, and they would never think this way or even consider what this guy has to say when they play said game. So.
But Smud, you have to understand this video is actually a social construct.
Oh.
It doesn't exist. We've been sitting here looking at nothing.
Well, most of it was fictitious anyway, so yeah, I guess you're right. Anyway, nice mental exercise of listening to crazy people, as always, or usually. So thank you guys for the suggestion, and I guess the memes were the most fun we had out of all that. The video is pretty trash. But all you got to do, watch the last 2 minutes of his video, listen to the contradiction, and write it down and send it in the comments. That's all I got to do. That's all I would do, and never bring this guy up ever again. Because he is...
That's an interesting pattern we've found, isn't it?
There's contradictions in many of these people, yeah.
I mean, generally, with these last 2 or 3 minutes of insanity.
It's like they're desperate to get their emotions out, and they don't know how to formulate the rest of whatever the hell they were talking about into a summary. So they just go, logic and rationality, bye, like and subscribe. Like, okay, yeah, thanks. It's really helpful. Yeah, I don't know. That was a pile, and different from before. Yesterday was like, oh, I like this guy. He's intelligent, and then he's not making a point. You're like, oh, that sucks. This one was just made up nonsense, unfortunately. And I'm sad he's a lawyer, but it goes to show you, lawyers aren't that bright. And I think Legal Eagles is the most famous one I can think of on YouTube that is not very bright, unfortunately.
Touches your newspaper, you can hit them or hurt them.
Yeah, assault is touching someone else's newspaper while they're holding it. Yeah, okay.
Not touching the person.
Yeah, it's great, fantastic.
But that's still one of those best comments that I've seen from him. Is just her being the share of him. It's like, yeah, that's assault. And then still arguing in favor of her.
Yeah. And that Discworld quote you dug up, that perfectly sums up the entire topic and how this guy is an idiot.
The Discworld quote.
Yeah, and
yes.
the DM group.
To quote from Discworld, racism was not a problem on the Discworld because what with trolls and dwarves and so on, speciesism was more interesting. Black and white lived in perfect harmony and ganged up on green.
Well, I believe a new episode of Solo Leveling just released today, so I'm going to go watch that. Thank you guys for your time, and keep your suggestions coming. That was, I think we should have reserved that for next week. But anyway, thank you guys for attending. Keep those suggestions and voting going, and we will talk to you soon. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.